Hey, what is up, everybody? This is your boy AJTRIP, and welcome to the movie review, The Thunderbolts. It came out, and I went to go see it. Just got back from it, and I must say it's a very enjoyable movie, as most of the Marvel movies have been. You know, even in this new saga that they've been doing, it's pretty well thing. This is mainly a story about Yelena. Elena's a star, and I think a lot of the people a lot of the idiots are going to be upset that Elena was the star because she's a woman, and they're going to get mad at that, and they're going to say this movie isn't good because Elena's a woman and this is about her. And you have to not listen to those idiots. This was I think a very good movie. It started off with her being in a lab trying to get some information from Valentina, who's played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Which, and by the way, before I continue on, spoiler alert: there will be spoilers in this. You've seen, the thumbnail, and I'm telling you right now, there will be spoilers on this. So if you don't want to know anything about it, pause right now, leave this tab open or up, pause it, go watch the movie, and then come back and see if you agree or disagree. But this is about her, and she was in the lab. She did something that she blew the lab up, but she just wasn't really feeling good about where she was. She went to talk to her father, the Red Guardian. They had some day to talk, and so then at one point she calls back Julia Louis-Dreyfus, who's getting ready to be impeached for the Century program that she started, and seemed to have in it, and she was trying to get everything out of the place that she could for that. And Elena talked to her, and so she had Elena sent to a place to take out a threat. And when she got there, she was met with the bootleg Captain America, John Walker, and then Ghost was there as well, and so was Taskmaster. And they were all sent there like to kill each other. Like Yelena was sent to kill. I think she was sent to kill the Ghost. Ghost was sent to kill. Was sent to kill Taskmaster. Taskmaster. Taskmaster was sent to kill somebody else, and John Walker was. I think John Walker was there to kill Yelena, I think. You can keep up with it. So they took out Taskmaster pretty quickly. The Ghost did, at least, so she did her job. But the other three were there, and then all of a sudden out came Bob. If you remember from like the things and everything like that, Bob is going to be a star, because Bob is if you know from the Deadpool movies. Is that guy named Bob too? Excuse me. But there's a guy with the mustache guy who's always like hanging around Deadpool, who's part of Deadpool's second guy. I don't know if his name was Bob too, but so and he was there. So then they realized that they were sent there to be incinerated, and they get out of the thing somehow by having Ghosts phase through the wall and get her out. So then they do that. They get out of there, and over these times, they touch a couple of John Walker and Yelena. I don't know if Ghost did it, but they touch Bob, and they can see into their past. I don't know if Bob sees it or not, but they definitely see it, and they're very troubled by it. And so then they go there, and so it's Ghost, and it's Yelena, it's John Walker, and it's Bob, and they're trying to get out of it, and out of this building that they were all sent to there to try to kill each other, basically. And they have to kind of crab walk their way up the tunnel with each of them on all four sides, and they take a risk, but they get out of there. But who's waiting for them is is like Valentina's team to take them out. And they get surveillance of them like working together. So she sends a team to take them out. But when they looked, they saw that Bob was there, and they're like, "Well, who is this guy?" And she had an assistant, who the assistant, did her research and found out who Bob was, and Bob was actually a part of the Century program, and he was alive. He was meant to be taken out like all of the other volunteers for the program that didn't work, but maybe it worked for him. So they do that. And by the way, there's also a part of the thing where Bucky, he sends his card gives the card to the to the assistant to try to get her to turn on Valentina so that they can impeach her and put her in jail. So she calls Bucky a few times throughout this, let him know what's going on. She tells him about the program that Valentina is doing and things like that. And then later on, she also tells him about Bob kind of confirming their story, but we'll get to that in a second. So they get through, and Bob makes a sacrifice. He sacrifices himself so that others can win, can go. And you can see Yelena, I don't know if this is like any type of maybe attraction or anything like that, but she's definitely grown fond of Bob, over that short period of time. And she's heartbroken that he's given his life for us. But then we soon find out after they take him out with bullets, which was against what Valentina wanted. She wanted to try to keep him alive so that that she could do her work on him. He's bulletproof, and the bullets fall off of him, and then he floats and flies, and he goes all the way up to the sky, and we get that classic thing. Seems like every time when a superhero learns to fly, they fly straight up into the atmosphere, and they get to the point into the atmosphere to where they just can't breathe anymore, and they have to fall right back down, and boom, it's a huge crater, and Valentina's folks get Bob. So Yelena and John Walker and Ghost, they're walking, trying to escape from Valentina when Red Guardian pulls up. Red Guardian had taken Valentina and her assistant from a party that they were at, where Bucky gave the card to the assistant, and took him to like where is the house or whatever. So he overheard that, so he got in his Pope mobile, so to speak, and went searching for it and found them. They were out in the desert. So then they get in the car, something like that, and then it's some of the stuff that you see from the trailer where they're being chased by Valentina's people, and then Bucky's there to get them to save them, things like that, and Bucky saves them, but then he also takes them out because he's going to basically take them in so that they will do the thing that they can have to do to save, not to save, but to have Valentina get impeached. And that's when they tell him about Bob and in the Century program and everything like that. And Bucky's not believing it, but then the assistant calls him and tells him, and then and you can see, and he's talking. He goes, Project Century. And he looks over at them. And they look up and they say, and then they talk about this, and he talks about the assistant talks more about Century, and he goes, Bob, and everybody goes, Bob. Yeah, it's a pretty funny part. So then, yeah. So then he decides that, okay, he's not gonna take them in. He's gonna take them with him so that they can stop Bob and turn in and take in Valentina. And they get there and they go to the deserted Avengers Tower. It happens, and they go there, and by that time, Valentina has turned Bob into the Century, as comic book people would know him. You know, he had darker hair. His hair was now blonde. He was, in the Century suit and everything like that. And he started to let a little bit of the power overcome him. They had a fight with the Century, and they couldn't, they couldn't do it. They couldn't get it done. So, but then the Century starts to turn on Valentina. And says that you're not gonna, I'm not gonna do what you need to do. I am a god. And it's this great line. And why would a god listen to a human? He goes, and she goes, well, you pretty. So something to the fact of you're playing pretty loose with that god, right? She goes, well, you said I had the strength of 10 Avengers, and I'm sure one of those Avengers was a god, which is right. Thor is a god, so that was a pretty good line by him. And so they built in a kill switch to take him out if he went wrong, and he did. He went rogue, but she couldn't do it in time. She dropped it. She was being choked out. The assistant came up and did the little button on the hand thing and took him out. So now he's out. And so to go on out at the same time, the Thunderbolts, they, after fighting Century and losing the battle, they retreated, and they were down there. And Elena said some really harsh things, harsh things to her father, harsh things towards John Walker, harsh things towards Ghosts, things like that. And then we had that. We had a nice comfort scene between Yelena and her father, talking about her past and how she just wants to get rid of it. How she had she did the stuff with the best friend, have her best friend, be assassinated, things like that. And again, a heartfelt moment where they finally took over. But while this is happening, Century is now being overtaken by this dark, menacing void of thing, and he's just turning things around. He can just take his hand and make somebody go black. It was like they left a scorch mark, but they wasn't burned. They just left a scorch mark. And they did a lot of things, and they were talking, and then he, did some stuff getting caught, and some stuff was being, broken, and then the Red Guardian, and then everybody came back. Bucky came back, and John Walker came back. Those came back. They all came back together as the team. And then they were going to get away from it, but Yelena, I guess in order to try to sacrifice herself for the greater good, went into the void to try to find Bob. And she went in there and she went through a couple of things, a couple of her past. She kept replaying her past over and over again. That's that one scene where she leads her best friend into the woods, far away, where there's nobody there except an assassin to come out and kill her. And she replays that over and over again. And she does some other things as well. And goes through some other places. And then finally she gets to a point to where she sees Bob, and Bob and they're talking about what it really is, what they can really do, and then the room starts like to collapse and things are going around, and then the others came and they came into the void as well to try to save them. So now they're trying to find a getaway out of the void, and they go through some of the worst rooms, some of the worst stuff that Bob has ever seen, and then they're finally able to get through, and they're able to beat the void, basically beat the darkness, and they come back, and people are back from not being scorched, and they're back, and it's like it's almost like the unsnap stuff again. It's almost like that, and they're good, and so now they've done the thing, but Bob can't. He doesn't know what happened. So when this darkness overcomes Bob, he forgets, and he doesn't realize what happened. Because this has been a thing for Bob throughout the entire movie, where he just didn't know about his past and what happened. He grew up he had like almost no memory of the stuff that happened to him. So then finally they try to get Valentina, but Valentina drags them into a to a whatever type of show, and the media is there, and then she says that she's been working on this for years, and then she calls them the New Avengers, and Yelena goes up to her and says, she says, we have your ass from now. You're ours now. So they become the New Avengers, and that's how the movie ends. It's a great thing. The mid-credit scene was Red Guardian trying to. The Avengers are now everywhere, and they're in the box of Wheaties, and so he picks up a box of Wheaties, and he's trying to get this woman to recognize him, but she doesn't, and she thinks he's kind of creepy. She takes the box of Wheaties, and as she goes, she puts the box of Wheaties back on something else. You know what I'm saying? I'm not eating this. Credits roll, yada yada yada, and we get to the post-credit scene, which is a very interesting post-credit scene. It's the funniest part of the movie without question. The funniest part of the movie. There were some parts of the movie that were funny and things like that, but this is totally definitely the funniest part of the movie, because now I believe it said 14 months later. 14 months later, there are the New Avengers, and they're sitting there and they're talking, everything like that. And Bob is still there. It's still Bob. And he tells that he can't be the Sentry, because if he's the Sentry, he becomes that dark void. So he can't be the Sentry. So then everybody's there. They have their own thing. It's very interesting. But then there's a disturbance in space that they talk about, and then they look at the satellite images, and then they pull it up, and they're seeing what's happening in space, and it's something coming from another dimension. And when you see it, it's a rocket ship, and the rocket ship is spinning, and when it spins spins like a half rotation, on the side you see the logo of the Fantastic Four. So that's very interesting, right? And then of course it goes off. So what you get from that post-credit scene is the 14 months later is in time. We know that the Fantastic Four is kind of a period piece. It's going to be based like almost in like the 40s or 50s or 60s, something like that. It's gonna be from different time, and it's gonna be in another dimension. And they're going, and it's gonna be the Fantastic Four story. It's gonna be another dimension. So I guess what you can glean from that is that the Fantastic Four, at the end, I'm guessing gonna be at the end of their movie, they get into their, ship to do to think, and they leads them to another dimension. This dimension, their Earth 616 dimension, as it would be. And now that's what you get, and I'm guessing that's how you would start off, or you would somehow integrate the Fantastic Four into Avengers Doomsday. So I believe that's going to happen. But yeah, that's the movie. Again, I thought it was a really nice movie. That was really good. Again, I think if you're one of these folks that if you just think that everything they try to do is woke or anything like that, you don't like the fact that a woman is going to be the lead of the movie because Florence Pugh, who stars as Elena, she is the star. It starts off with her in her kind of story, and she's the main line, one of the main plot points of the story. This is basically her movie, even though it's called the Thunderbolts, which, by the way, there's an asterisk by the Thunderbolts, and we find out why, because I believe it was the end of the not the before the credits roll. At the end of the movie, when they put up there the Thunderbolts with the asterisk, it turned into the New Avengers. So that's why it's an asterisk there. The Thunderbolts are the New Avengers. So yeah, again, I thought it was a very fun movie. I think, again, if you're a Marvel person, comic book person, you're going to enjoy it. You're going to love it, and I think it's really nice, real made movie. If you're not a nut job, who's yaps about wokeness. So there's nothing woke in this movie. There's nothing woke. There's nothing for you to be upset about. There never has been anything to be upset about any Marvel movie when it comes to wokeness. Who cares if a movie started with a woman, or three women, and two of those women are women of color, as in the Marvels, So get over it. Again, I would give this movie 3.25 stars. Really good. It really sets you up for the Fantastic Four coming out later this year. I believe in July. I'm not sure. Alright, so there you have it, my review of the Thunderbolts. Post your comments down below. Tell me what you guys think. Did you guys like it? Did you guys love it? Again, if you're, how did you feel about it? Let me know down in the comment section. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. This is your boy, AJTRIP, signing off. As always, be good to each other, y'all. Be careful out there. And I am out.